Welcome to Season 3, Episode 3 of Press Any Button to Continue. My name is Keith, the boy who smashes Donkey Kongas a little too hard as a kid, resulting in some tests taking place. And I'm joined by my co-host Naoise, who every year still tries to book a holiday to Isle Delfino. That's right, this week we'll be discussing and pikmining, do you like that, pikmining? Our favourite little cube games from Nintendo's last console where power mattered. So squeeze your super monkey balls and smash down with the bros, as this nostalgia trip will be like taking a look through a 1,000-year door. So pick up that neatly packed box, as this gem had more gold than Luigi's mansion. It's time to have a Mario party, so blast that Wind Waker in my face and let's chat well into Twilight about the Gamecube.
Does the Nintendo Gamecube have the best console load screen?
I'm going to slap out here and say it's the best fucking console of all time. That's right. Put it in. Put it in.
Podcast is over. It's done.
Turn it off. I'm done.
It is a fucking great console. It is a fantastic console, man.
It's so good looking. It has a handle. It's like it's like imagine like it's like a ponytail you can just pull on when you're slaying it doggy style. You know, you have a little handle. You're just shagging it on in there, and you're riding the thing.
How did you get to fucking a GameCube within?
Because it's got it.
Within 10
and it's
seconds.
got 4 perfectly tiny micro peen slots in the front for me. It was made just for me. I go in port 1, port 2, port 3, port 4. And the little memory cards are like the nipples. You know, you're slapping them on in. Oh fuck. And you know when you open the disc tray and it goes up real slow, and you're like, damn. You gotta grease it up, you know. Fuck me.
Fucking hell.
Oh my god. And then it has that huge big boy expansion pass for the Game Boy that like slots into it. Oh, it's just so perfect. It's like putting stilettos on it, you know, makes it a little bit taller. Some fishnets now and getting it walking down the street and you'll be living the dream.
GameCube.
How are you today, baby?
I'm fucking a bit hot and flustered after that. But I'm doing good, man.
Definitely like pause for an old quick diddly fiddly, but yeah.
There's no denying that the GameCube looks, I think, is a really cool looking console in itself. Mm-hmm. Very like nice, neat looking design, if you know what I mean.
A neatly packed kebab, you know? Like
it is a nice, neat little kebab. What? I don't know, man. You're after totally derailing me now.
Yeah, I just started off with some energy. You know what I mean? I came in spicy. Yeah. What do you think is the sexiest water creature that we have in the world? Like, if you had to say like what's the sexiest fish, or like, you know, something that swims in the ocean, what would you say it is? What do you think the sexiest like thing that swims in the ocean is? Like, if you just had to pick one, like life or death situation, you just have to say one thing. just pick any. Like, what's the first thing that comes to mind? I know we're all going to have the same answer here. Like deep echo
from
the
boys.
Echo the
dolphin.
Dolphin, yeah, you'd say dolphin, right?
No. Would you?
I would. And if you want to know a good fact, the GameCube was originally called the Dolphin, okay? Hence why it's so sexy.
What?
GameCube it was called the Dolphin, and you want to know something more interesting? It has a chip in it that has a picture of a dolphin on it, and it's called the Dolphin chip, and it has another chip called the Flipper. And now this theme of why I'm bringing it in, very heavy water themed. Give me 2 of their main titles on the GameCube that are water themed right now.
The Wind Waker.
Yes.
What's the other one? I don't know. The other
Sunshine.
One is
they're both
Super
all
Mario
taking
Sunshine, yeah. Holy
fuck. The
fuck.
GameCube is a water-themed Nintendo console that brings all their main games water-themed. That has a flipper, it's a dolphin. It was supposed to be called the Dolphin. And it is the sexiest fish in the sea because it's the sexiest console.
Yes. Holy shit, that's really fucking... I never thought about it like that. Right, here we go, right?
Just 1 second more.
Right.
Pikmin's ship, Olimar's ship's called the Dolphin. Just putting it out there.
No way. That's really fucking cool, man. What do you think? So, if the GameCube was a water Pokemon or is a water console, what elemental? Ooh. What's an N64?
I feel fire I don't know. Fire's coming to my mind for some reason. I don't know why, but this is more of a feeling thing.
Right.
I feel like the SNES is a ground type. And I feel like, I feel like the Wii is a psychic type.
All right, yeah. Oh, yeah, motion control, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
you know,
I'm with you.
Mm-hmm. Which the GameCube
Right.
was supposed to have motion controls at launch, by the way. Which is
Was it,
basically
yeah?
why the Wii was formed too, as the next generation of it.
Was it really? So the GameCube was supposed to have motion controls?
Yeah, so you remember Star Wars Rogue Squadron Leader?
Yes.
They were going to have motion controls for that game. Originally, the game was designed around having motion controls with it.
No way.
But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, Elementals, it's an interesting one. But yeah, man, it's such a beautiful system. I think it's like, I kind of talk about the N64 a lot as my favorite, but if I was being realistic about the time I spent during the age I spent it with, I was around, I don't know, was I like 2000 and what year did the GameCube launch? Was it 2001 or 2002?
Well, in Europe, 2002. Initially launched in 2001.
So like I was 10 or 11. Do you know what I mean? Like that was peak kind of understanding games at a higher level. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't just playing them, looking at them. I was loving them. Do you know?
Yeah.
Such a good system.
No, it is. I was about 15 when it came out here in 2002, and at the time, unfortunately, the GameCube passed me by. I actually only recently got into the GameCube when I kind of got back into old school video games, maybe about 6-ish years ago. I think I first got a GameCube.
You only had a GameCube for the first time 6 years ago. That's magical, man.
Now I do remember when it came out. There was some of the guys that I was working at the time. I remember them coming over to my house and we were having a few beers, and they brought over a Nintendo GameCube.
Which, that sentence in itself is crazy, because like it has a handle. It's like a little portable boy, you know.
Yeah, I know. I think that was the whole thing. I think I think they were like, people were like, just, it has a handle, so we're gonna just bring it. You know what I mean? It was, and it worked. Like, that was a good gimmick, if you will. But I remember he brought it over, and we were playing Smash Bros. Melee. Now this might have been a couple of years afterwards.
Sure.
Yeah, I was at least 18. I was at least 18 because it was the job that I was in at the time. So he brought over Smash Bros. Melee. He brought over Twilight Princess, I think, and I remember he actually left the GameCube there in my house, and I got to play through Twilight Princess. And I really, really enjoyed it. But do you know what it was, man? It was like, I really enjoyed the Twilight Princess thing, and then when Wind Waker came out, I was at that age where I was, you know, I was looking for a darker theme things.
You were edgelord. You were like you were like rocking the chains, and like you had like Dommy Mommy goth boobies on the wall, and you were like, I'm not a fucking baby, I'm a big hardcore cream dreamer.
Yeah, like into like the WWF Attitude Era was was, you know, at its peak, and it was all rock heavy and not bright, colourful, childish, you know what I mean?
Which made sense, because look at all the gaming magazines of that era. It was all like tits and more fucking like big busty, like
the magazine, right, that you gave me a few magazines recently. The one that I'm reading at the moment is Nintendo Official Magazine, and it's from June 2003. And I sent you that picture of that game with the busty lady on the front of it, and you're like, that was, and her nipples
are true, and her nipples are through the top, and it's about and you're like, women beating up dudes or something.
Like Nintendo,
like really getting into the early kinks.
Like that's very out there for Nintendo in 2003. Like, you know what I mean? So I was more into kind of the darker themed stuff, and also a kind of, you know, when I hit a certain age, it was all about going out with my friends and partying, and kind of video games took a kind of a backseat to it all, and so I missed the GameCube growing up, you know, and I only got it for the first time a couple of years ago, and I remember I bought it. Someone just messaged me and was like, look, I have a GameCube here, do you want to buy it? And I said, yeah, how much? And he said €20, so he gave me a GameCube with a controller. It has the Game Boy player underneath it as well. What's the
Game Boy player? Do you know the Game Boy player on its own is worth like 150 quid?
Is it? Yeah. What?
Yeah.
Is it? No, I don't have the disc. I don't have the disc.
Well, the disc,
so I've never actually used it. Yeah. But it looks cool. I like the way it looks.
The stilettos.
And there was a copy. There was a copy of a surfing game in it.
Oh, Wave Race.
No, it wasn't. It was actual, not jet skis. It was an actual surfboarding kind of game. I can't remember what it was. But yeah, I got that for €20. And then another friend of mine who I worked with gave me his copy of Wind Waker and his copy of Twilight Princess, because he said he had everything on the Wii and he didn't need it. So
and
he
have you
gave me them.
played both Wind Waker and Twilight Princess now?
I have.
Now pretend you've never met me and you have to answer honestly. Wind Waker or Twilight Princess?
Hold on, sorry. I have to think. Let me just think about it. To be honest, I want to say Twilight Princess, but Wind Waker is coming to my head first. Wind Waker is coming to my head first.
Is that because you're looking directly at my face?
I'm gonna go with Wind Waker. Okay. I really enjoyed Twilight Princess. Thought it was a really cool game. I really liked the darkness of it. I liked the design of it. I liked the gameplay. Everything. I really liked the game as a whole. But Wind Waker is, and I've mentioned this before, we both have, the most beautiful game I think I've ever played. Most beautiful video game I have ever seen. It is visually stunning. Mm-hmm. It is so much fun to play. It's so immersive when you're out sailing on the sea. There's so much exploration to do. The music in it is incredible. Everything about the Wind Waker to me is perfect. Even now, the art style. So again, you know, I was into grunge and rock and fucking darkness and blah 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 when I was that age, and I didn't appreciate the bright colours. And now as an adult, when life is dark and dreary and miserable, and you get a bit of brightness in Wind Waker.
Sure, but we
I'm only joking. Life isn't always like that, but I'm just saying, like,
we talk
it's
about that
a nice
a little bit, though.
Brightness, and it brings that joy, and you turn it on, and even when you turn on, I'm actually getting goosebumps here. When you turn on the Wind Waker and you hear that the music that comes on, and you're like, it just fucking fills my heart with joy, man. It's so fucking nice. Yeah, it's so nice. You could just sit there looking at it. I'll try and edit that actually, you know, as well. So good. It's so
how
good,
they bring in, I don't know if you know this, how they bring in Ocarina of Time classic Zelda songs into that intro. Like, there's loads of different parts mixed in it. So you think that's an all original tune, but all these melodies. So any Zelda song you hear, if you listen to even Tears of the Kingdom, all the music has a staple. It will either be Zelda's Lullaby, it will be something, and those notes are in it, and they're transformed into something. And what you'll hear at the end of that intro theme is, it's very hard to hear in my head after all I can hear is
yeah, I get you. But
and it will have like difference of Hyrule Field. It will have all little different chunks of different themes put into different areas of that song.
No way.
So if you listen to the whole thing, and if you go to the very end of it, you'll hear classic Zelda melodies in it.
Deadly. I'm gonna have to fucking have another listen. But what do you think on Wind Waker or Twilight Princess?
I mean, you know my answer, and the people who listen to this podcast, but it's your first time listening. Wind Waker came out years before Twilight Princess. So I mean, that in itself. There's parts of that game that I enjoy that some people don't, which I think is why I like it even more. I do enjoy the silence of sailing on the sea. I do enjoy the atmosphere it conveys, discovering new islands. Twilight Princess, for me, has this very elongated intro. I think Twilight Princess is a fantastic game, but it has a very elongated intro. There's, I think, obviously, in terms of games aging, I think it's aged worse, both graphically and both from some design choices, you know. But then again, there's some extreme highs in that game. I just think if I was to take a consistent experience and you were to measure the serotonin in my body, Wind Waker would be far higher. And I also think, you know, you were talking about, you know, when you're 18, you want to, you know, when you're a teenager, you want to be an adult, and when you're an adult, you want to be a kid. So like there's, you know, so I think like, and we always talk about like, you know, your 30s is like being 13 again. And you realize that, you know what, there's enough edge in the world that I deal with on a daily basis. I'd prefer to play Wind Waker.
Yes, absolutely. I think some people, when you get to a certain age, are almost afraid to take themselves too seriously, and are afraid to relax and show a bit of playfulness and like embracing their fucking inner child, and just being like, you know, like I often, you know, someone might say something about, like, say in the job I'm in is a very male dominated kind of fucking bravado type job, and they like football and that's what they're into, and that's cool. But if anyone talks about video games, they're like, I'm not into that shite, and like, whereas I remember as a kid, I can remember being in school specifically, this memory is stuck with me, where we were waiting to go into art class and someone was slagging someone for having Pokemon cards, and I literally had loads in my bag, and he was like, look at him, the little baby, whatever, with his poke, and I was sitting there going, and I was afraid to say anything.
Yeah.
And now when I'm an adult, if this ever comes up, and it comes up, like I has come up a bit, like where they'll be like, I'm not into that shit, and I'm like, oh man, I'm a huge nerd. I love video games.
Yeah, you
absolutely love them. And like, what, you're into that? Yeah, Pokemon, Zelda, Mario, love it. It's brilliant, and I like being able to be confident and say, you know what,
100%.
I love this shit. Like, it's what makes me happy. Like, well,
it's part of your identity of who you are. And like, if you have to suppress and hide that, you're pretending to be someone for something else. And as a teenager, that's way harder, because you just want to fit in, and you wouldn't dream of breaking out of that mold. But that memory stuck with you so much as a lesson, as always, to be yourself and not to hide what you enjoy and not to hide what you're doing. And I think that's why something like that sticks with you, and that's why you'll never do that again. Do you know what I mean? Is that like from a psychology? Well, it's a memory you've mentioned once or twice, and I think we wouldn't remember that so keenly if it wasn't something that made you so important to being like. Because I'm sure, like, if to this day you saw someone mocking someone over having Pokemon cards, you'd be like, "Fuck you." Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But at the time, obviously, we'd all be nervous and scared, and just be like, "Oh shit, I better put mine away because I don't want to be bullied or picked out or whatever." Do you know? Yeah. And I think, like, definitely, I think there's, like, you hold on to that, and now you wear it as a badge of honor. Because when you wear something as a badge of honor, people find it very difficult to knock you down for it. Do you know what I mean? Because if you're like, I love this, and you're like, you love it, you're like, I adore it. They're not then going to be like, think, but if you're like, yeah, I kind of like Pokemon, they're like, oh yeah, what, there's more wiggle room for that. So true, wearing it as a badge of honor, Yeah, no, that's very interesting. But yeah, I think the darkness, the lightness, it's to be honest, they're a good contrast to games. And it's probably clever from Nintendo's point of view, where they can appeal to an older generation and a younger generation, with the light and dark. Yeah, so you're going with Wind Waker, I'm going with Wind Waker. I totally agree that Twilight Princess hasn't aged as well. But I think when you're comparing it to Wind Waker, it's kind of difficult to... I would love that to be our poll, actually. Which is the better Zelda game, Wind Waker or Twilight Princess? Because obviously we're speaking from a Wind Waker point of view, and I know there'll be a lot of people screaming like, no, Twilight Princess is the better game, which is totally fair. Yeah, absolutely. But we could sit here and talk about Zelda the whole time. We're talking about the little before. Yes. We're talking about the Gamecube, which I think, again, aesthetically the console itself does look really cool. I do like the handle, the 4 ports at the front. I like the little memory cards. I think they're a nice kind of like a smaller size version of the PS2, PS1 memory card. Very, very, like, totally different to the N64 that goes in the back of the controller. Can I just intervene there because with the design, because the thing that's coming to my mind constantly is that everything was miniature. The discs were miniature, the memory cards were miniature, the console was miniature and has a handle. And you were talking about the fact that you can bring it over to you. Like, that's a tiny box. And it was the last time Nintendo cared about power, right? It was the last time that their console was more powerful than the PS2, not quite as powerful as an Xbox. And every generation after that, they were half the power, a quarter the power. So it's the last time they also kind of valued power of the generation. But the fact you can pick that thing up, bring it to a friend's house, and play Smash Brothers with 4 people, Super Monkey Ball, Mario Party, Double Dash. The fact you can carry it, a tiny fucking box with loads of power, and bring it over with tiny discs, tiny memory cards, and 4 ports in the front to play on your friend. So cool. Crazy. It is crazy. I actually haven't thought about that. Because see, I have the memories of it, but you're like... you're retrospectively going with it, So tell me this, right? When you first got the Nintendo GameCube, do you remember getting the actual console? Do you remember one of the best gaming days of my life. Oh, hit me, please. I woke up 8:30 in the morning. Yeah. And I was like, Dad, because I knew I had it booked in Smith's in town. Yeah. And I was like, I couldn't. I was like, like, Dad, you fuck, they're going to be gone. Like, there's no way they can be gone because I booked it. But I was like tearing. I would literally be like pulling him. I'd be like, because the amount of anxiety and excitement I've had about me not being able to get one. It's kind of the equivalent of road rage. Like, I think I would like be like literally kicking other children out of the way and be like, you don't know what this is, fuck you. You know what I mean? Like, really. Yeah. I remember walking into Smith's at the time, and I remember seeing behind, so they would store all the consoles behind the tills. Yeah. There was a whole wall of GameCubes, the purple one and the black one. So there was 2 colours at launch, and I had to decide what colour I wanted. So I was like, I was like, it's Pokemon Red and Blue all over again. Oh yeah, very true. You know what I mean? I was like, what am I gonna get? And I was like, fuck, I'll go with black's the safe colour. Do you know what I mean? I was like, And I remember I got Luigi's Mansion and I got Sonic Adventure 2. They were two launch games for it. I'm pretty sure it was Sonic Adventure 2 was the launch game, but definitely Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah.
Which the fun fact to Luigi's Mansion is the first time Nintendo ever launched a console without a Mario game, and Luigi was repping the GameCube.
Oh, no way.
Cool.
I didn't realize that. That's very cool.
Yeah. So I remember picking that up, and I remember this was at the age now where I would have been putting on gloves to open the console. Like, I had such this pristiness, and I remember before I got the console, I had this little child's chair, and it was yellow, and I painted it black to match the colour before I opened it because I wanted its own special stand, so I had to leave that dry outside. And I'd wait to open the GameCube, and then it would have its own stool that I would put it on so it was well ventilated.
So cool.
And I remember turning on Luigi's Mansion, and that the graphic increase from N64 to the GameCube era was significant.
Yeah,
we don't really get that anymore. It's more about performance now. But watching that opening, which is like Luigi going, Mama Mario, and he's opening the door and he's going into the Luigi's Mansion and he's walking up towards it. Yeah. Which, by the way, the Luigi's Mansion theme is my favorite Nintendo Mario related theme. Out of any Mario game, it's my favorite by far. Yeah.
No way.
And I was just fucking, and then I was like, okay, I'm too scared to play this alone. So I called, who's in the Discord now, I don't know if you've noticed. So, my friend Richard, who changed his name in the Discord to my friend.
Has he?
Yeah. So he's known as my friend in the Discord.
Oh, brilliant.
Came over and we played Luigi's Mansion together, and it was like chef's kiss.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's so fucking cool. And then what was the other one? Sonic Adventures?
Which
Sonic
I played
Adventures
a lot
2?
on the Dreamcast.
That's what I was going to ask you. So did you have a Dreamcast before you had a game? Was the Dreamcast out before the GameCube?
Yes.
Right. And
like
was
2-3 years.
So would this have been kind of like the first time playing was it a remaster or a remake or a port? A port?
Yes, definitely a port. It was called Sonic Adventure 2 Battle.
Yes.
That's the official title, and it was just Sonic Adventure 2 on the Dreamcast.
Right.
So it had a multiplayer aspect of it that was increased more to the original, extra characters and stuff like that. But other than that, it was pretty similar. Maybe the textures and maybe the resolution was slightly greater, but I think for the most part it was a pretty clean port at that stage.
Right.
And we used to play, there was a Chow Garden in that game. Which was like a Tamagotchi mode where you had these little creatures and you raised them. So when you played the levels, you get these like animals and these power-ups, and you keep raising them, and then you put them in races and karate. Like have you ever heard of a Chow Garden before from Sonic?
Yeah, you had mentioned it. Yeah, I've mentioned it before.
People have been asking for its own standalone game for the longest time because it's another full game within the game.
Right.
It's wild. So it's like a whole thing where you raise these little creatures and you put them on your memory card, take them over to a friend's house and battle them like Pokemon or race them.
Right.
And it was all crazy.
Holy shit.
And the crazy thing is, which I have to show you.
Yeah.
This memory card I have here was my original GameCube memory card. It's an 8 megabyte one that I have in my hand. And this has my Chow on it, still to this day. My very first Chow I've had since I was 12. His name is Cody.
No
and
way.
I can still power him up and I can still feed him and do all things. So this is like a Tamagotchi I've had since I was 12 and I'm 31.
That is so fucking cool, man. Holy shit. That's so cool, man.
And I can see I've ingrained Sonic onto it with the pen that didn't work.
Right. To make sure that, that's the one with your Chow on it.
Like this, my original... It's like having your same Tamagotchi that never died.
Yeah, man. That's really fucking cool. That's really cool. And do you remember thinking, because I don't remember, although there was Super Mario All-Stars. Sorry, I'm thinking of ports and remakes, and for some reason I was thinking maybe it was a new thing, but it wasn't. Sure, there was Super Mario All-Stars and the SNES had 1, 2, 3, the last levels on it, so...
Yeah, the Wii had another Super Mario All-Stars, and then, there was 3D All-Stars for the Switch and stuff like that, but...
I was thinking of, did it kind of, back then, would it have kind of blown you away a little bit, thinking that, I wonder actually, did it, so a Sega game coming out on a Nintendo? Actually, was that the first time Sega released?
That was when Sega was completely binded, so Sony basically crushed Sega, and they made sure they did. They were like, we want them out of the thing. They were very gung ho about making sure Sega would not exist as a company.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. There was a lot of I think dealings in the background. I'm not up to date on it, but I know it was a huge contributing factor. Obviously, some of their own fault too, with the games being easily burnt. But I said this before: the Dreamcast was the fastest selling console in the first week or two.
Yeah.
But so basically, they were out of the console market then. So then they had to diversify if they wanted to keep alive by making the games on a GameCube. So seeing Sonic on a Nintendo console after they were blurring Oasis rivals was crazy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, actually, true. I heard somebody talking about, I can't remember where I heard this. Somebody had asked the question of, do you think Sega would ever make a console again?
I'd love it, but no. Like, I mean, I think the next thing Xbox are going to buy is Sega.
Do you reckon? Yeah.
I would say, I think they've already tried.
I saw a thing last night about how they made a deal with PlayStation or something about Call of Duty.
So here's the deal, right? So there's this goes into a bit console war territory, so I don't want to feed the fans too much of this, because I think console wars, and I would state here, is the stupidest thing in the world.
Of course
I think if you have to go out of your way to fight someone about what they enjoy, you have a problem, and you need to have yourself looked at.
How dare you like something different to me?
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I have an Xbox, PlayStation, and a Nintendo, and during different phases of my life, I prefer different ones at different times.
True, yeah, me too.
But yeah, there was the Xbox will be my main at the moment. I thought the PS4 is very good, but I think the Series is a better console this generation for me. But I still love the PlayStation 5. I think Nintendo always do their own thing, so I can rarely compare them. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're always in their own lane, if you know what I mean. So yeah, Xbox, Sony tried to stop Xbox buying Activision Blizzard. They a huge thing going on for ages, but Xbox is like, we'll allow the games on your console, it's fine. Like, we'll give you a 10-year deal. And they're actually, because of this deal, now Nintendo is getting Call of Duty. So Nintendo is going to have Call of Duty on it for the next 10 years, because Microsoft's like, we'll give you a deal, so now you can have Call of Duty on Nintendo. So it's better for everyone. You can play it on PlayStation, Xbox, and by Xbox buying them, you can play it on every console. You'll be able to play it on cloud. You'll be able to play it on your fucking whatever you want. Game Pass, the whole lot. So
that's so cool.
Yeah. So, but initially Sony was like, we're not doing it, and we're not allowing you to sign it because it's not fair. But Sony have been doing that for years. They've been buying exclusive. They've had huge exclusivity for years as a company. And sure, there was always modes that came to them first and all this stuff, and whatever game you can think of. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then eventually they were, as of yesterday today, we're like, okay, we'll sign the deal. So you know.
But originally they were like, fuck you, Sega.
This was a court case that's been going for the last while, because England was trying to block them as a country, and then Microsoft was like, well, we'll pull out of England. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, they have so much power.
Yeah.
But I think this is ultimately a good thing. I think console exclusivity is kind of annoying for the most part, but I think it's fair. Again, this is all about, we talked about streaming platforms before, but you don't want anyone to be a monopoly. Like, it needs to be a relative fair game so the consumer gets the best choices as well. You know?
True. So tell me this, right? I have a list. I did a bit of research here, right? So
I did too.
The Nintendo GameCube first came out in 2002. The GameCube has a total of 651 games in its library.
Is that small or big? I think it's small.
I think it's small. Like, I know, it's like the Nintendo NES and the Super Nintendo, I think, had like around 800-ish games. The N64 dropped down. I think that only has like around 300 and something games. Wow. But then if you compare it to what the PlayStation 2 that has fucking thousands and thousands of games.
But this is very, very interesting, because this is Nintendo allowing third party or not, because on the DS it has thousands of games. The DS has thousands and thousands of games. Right. Because there was so much third party influence using innovative technology. But Nintendo are still very first party orientated when it came to the GameCube. Do you know what I mean? Which means there wouldn't be 20 or 50 other companies making games, where the PlayStation would take almost any new IP and take a chance in the PS2 days. You know, so like, I think there's contributing factors there.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. But of these 651, right, if you could pick your top 5, right?
Will we do a mini top 5 together?
Yeah, let's do a mini top 5. I have a list. Again, my experience with the GameCube is, I don't want to say limited. I'm going to say I played a couple of 100 hours of GameCube. And majority of that was Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. But as video games, I don't have as much knowledge or experience as you do. Now, I've tried loads, and I've tried games that, like, I tried Pikmin because I've heard it's like one of the greatest games ever. Unfortunately, I couldn't get into it. It just, it wasn't for me. I don't know. I tried the Metroid games. That was okay. I didn't get mad into it. But I have a list here of my favourite games that I have tried and I really enjoyed. So this is an episode 5? Within an episode, isn't it?
Yeah. Will I
press any button to continue? A non-official top 5 GameCube games, number 5.
Go on, I'll let you start with number 5.
See, I don't have any orders of these. So
right. Well, I'll start.
I didn't plan.
I'll start with my 5, which my people will probably say it's shit, but it's Rocky, the boxing game.
What?
I know, man. Look it.
I've never played it, so it's just such a funny one.
You know, I did Thai boxing for loads of years.
Yeah.
I like the sport.
Did he have
I
a
love the
cartoon
movies.
aesthetic? in it?
Yeah.
Cell shaded, yeah?
It doesn't look great. But it's a fun game.
Do you have it with you?
No, I don't have it with me.
Okay.
No, I don't have it with me. But it's a fun game. I think it's cartoony as far as I remember. But I just remember when I got the GameCube, it was one of the first games that I got. And I remember just playing it and just being like, this. And I'm not mad into sports games, really. But I just played it and I was like, this is fun. So people will fucking be like, you're choosing Rocky over Pikmin and fucking Metroid.
Well, let me satiate the viewers and become the favourite out of the two of us.
My number 5 is Pikmin.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah.
I would say so. By the way, I'm cutting out Sonic Adventure because it's a Dreamcast game. I'm not going to count it as a port, so I'll leave it out of that one, and I'll count it as a Dreamcast game if we ever do a Dreamcast episode.
Right.
I would probably put Pikmin at number 5. Yeah, I think that the thing about that game is its eeriness, and it has the time basis, right? And it's very much so about you wake up. And you're like, how do I maximize my time efficiency of the day? It's a strategy game. It's like I need to grow a certain amount of Pikmin. I need to build my army, and then that army needs to carry products and efficiency to rebuild my ship. So there was this idea. I liked having a notepad I'd have a physical notepad, and I'd write down like, how am I going to maximize my efficiency? So I'd make a plan before I'd play the game, which added a real cool element to it. So it's like, okay, on this day I'm going to do this. I'm going to try and collect as much of this. So it was a very kind of organizing thing that I enjoyed in my brain with Pikmin.
Deadly.
And I just really, really enjoyed it. And it came from Miyamoto. He was in his garden. He was just imagining imagine if he was imagining a game in his garden. And that's how Pikmin came to be. So he was like, imagine if everything was like miniature and you were in a garden. And that's kind of just how he came up with the idea for Pikmin, which is kind of crazy. So yeah, I'm going to say Pikmin number 5.
Okay. To be honest, you're kind of selling to me now that I want to try and play it again.
See, I think the interesting thing, the more I learn about you as a person, is that I think there's things very situational to your time in life of what you enjoy and when you enjoy something. Right. So at the moment you're talking about like how you can only think about Dragon Ball and you can't enjoy games like you used to because you're waiting for that. So I feel like depending on the time of year, and it's the same for everyone though. It's true of everyone. But I think particularly, if you tried something again at a different point in your life,
true,
I think it very much so absorbs it differently,
100%. Yeah, no, you're very right. My number 4 is Super Smash Bros. Melee. Or Melee, just to piss people off.
Sorry, Melee girl.
Super Smash Bros. Melee, the fucking intro to that game alone, man. It is fucking insane. That big cinematic fight scene, fucking everyone flying around. So good.
It's probably,
so good.
it is the best Smash Brothers.
I'd agree with you.
As in the modes were perfect. There was stuff that were lost in later games, like the adventure mode I didn't enjoy as much in later games. There was something more arcadey about this one. Collecting all the trophies. And do you remember then when you finished adventure mode, you had to go into the shooting game? It was like you were shooting the credits. You kept shooting, and the higher score you got, you might unlock more trophies.
Deadly.
That game had achievements in the form of trophies, collecting all the Pokemon or collecting all the little trophies. Do you know the way there's trophies of the characters?
Yeah.
So you finish adventure mode once, you get a Mario trophy. You finish it again, you get a different Mario trophy, and there was hundreds of trophies you had to unlock. There was so many mini challenges, like defeat Link within 0.4 of a second to unlock Toon Link, and then have him in a thing. The unlockable, the way they thought about the unlockables in that game fucking creams my little panties.
So good. Yeah, and a finished game, a game you got with all these fucking add-ons, all these extras, finished, done. You paid for it once, no extra buy-ins, none of that shit. Yeah, absolutely amazing.
It's still used in the competitive scene today because it's the most balanced game.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? So that's why they're still so obsessed with using melee or melee as I don't know which one it is, to be honest, Nisha.
Yeah. All right, that's okay.
But yeah, it's just fucking so fucking good.
Yeah, it's so good. Right, do you have a number 4? Now I know I'm really fucking putting you on the spot here.
Okay. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go. What did I say? What did I say? Number 5 was
Pikmin.
Shit, I'm gonna go with
number 4, Luigi's Mansion.
Oh yeah.
Mario.
That's him. That's him. I swear to God. What he does is you can press a button that makes him call out Mario, and he goes Mario.
Yeah.
And then if you press the same button when he's near a press, he just fucks it. He like humps it. He goes ooh 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 ooh.
Why does he hump things?
I don't know, because you can hump things to see if gold comes out of it. But that's like the action he does. He just grabs it and shags it.
Oh, he's like shaking it.
A grab and shag.
I have never played the original Luigi's Mansion. The first one I ever played was
I think you'd like
3
it.
on the Switch. Is it 3 on the Switch?
Yeah, I never really liked the sequels all that much because I have this sequelitis. If things become
Sequelitis.
a sequelitis, which isn't a term I made up, by the way, just in case I won't claim it as my own.
That's very good. I really like that.
There was Aaron from
Sequelitis.
Game Grumps had a series called Sequelitis where he says a lot of times sequels are just worse because they try and over-convolute something. It's like bigger and better, do you know, where a lot of times you prefer simple and easy, do you know?
That's very true. That's a very good point. Sequelitis. I like that.
So yeah, Luigi's Mansion, it had the right atmosphere, it was the right size. It felt more cinematic. I don't know, like, not cinematic because it's wrong, because 3 is very cinematic. I just didn't like, I never finished 3. I tried to play it 3 times for like 4 hours. And I don't know what's not grabbing me. It just doesn't feel the same. And I know that's a nostalgia thing as well, but I've played the first one like 4 times.
Do you know what, man? Sorry, can I just cut in? I feel I have to say this now.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if it's my Dragon Ball influence, but that is my feeling towards Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, fair. That's fair. That's very, very fair.
Yeah. That's sorry, it's just while you were saying it, I was like, it's exactly how I feel about not being able to get into The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom on the Switch, which is, everyone is saying, is the fucking greatest video game ever. And I'm just like, I can't do it. I can't do it. So I totally get your opinion on 3 as opposed to the original Luigi's Mansion on the GameCube.
Now, the very exciting thing is they're bringing 2 to the Switch now. Which
really?
Yeah, because that was a DS game, a 3DS game.
Oh, right.
And I would be kind of interested to see. I think that actually had more of a similar ambience to 1. And what I liked, this is what I say this so much, man. Bring back the DS, dude. Like, they had thousands of games that were smaller, more compact, easier to play, and they could take chances. Yeah. And now they can't take chances because it's a home console that sold like millions and millions of units, and if they don't bring out a banger, you know, it's like success gives fear. You know, it's the same way where, like, you know, we'll try different podcasts. Like our last one was like, why did we create? But if we had like a company who was like, right, every episode has to hit this amount of views, we'd be like, shit, we can't do that episode now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like where the DS was such a perfect little outlet for like these great, unique little spin-offs.
Yeah. Do you know what? Actually, you've made a very good point there, right? Because you said about the DS, it tried loads of things, it had all these little spin-offs, and it's one of the greatest selling consoles of all time. The second greatest selling console of all time, or probably up there, is the PS2, which again we just said had thousands of games because it took chances and it tried fucking anything. So I'm just thinking from a creative point of view, that is a very interesting point, how the 2 biggest selling possibly consoles of all time have thousands of games which people could say is shovelware and shit, but they are considered to be the best. And I wonder, is it because it takes those chances?
Dude, when's the last time we had a new IP? It was during the PS2, GameCube, Xbox era. Halo, Devil May Cry. Like, there's so many things that are now we're on to Devil May Cry 5. Like, no one now will make, like, there was Shadow of the Colossus, there was Ico, there was so many different PS2 games. And the PS2 is the first thing that came into my head as well when you mentioned the DS. The DS and the PS2 are the 2 highest selling consoles of all time. Yeah. And they're the ones that had the most third-party influences. I don't mind, like I actually don't think it was shovelware that was released. No, there was shovelware in those systems. I think the Wii arguably has more shovelware. But again, another great selling console.
True.
You know what I mean? The idea and the innovations there. I love the PlayStation 2, and I know it's not a PlayStation 2 episode, has such a unique feeling to it in the games. They're like, they don't make sense. A lot of the times it's like, well, I guess we're just treasure hunting and there's aliens and dinosaurs here. Do you know, or whatever the fuck is going on? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But there's just something. Like, remember the ads during the era of the PS2 and GameCube were so weird. Yeah. So, do you know what I mean? Trying to be
futuristic, bizarre, like trying to appeal to everyone.
And no one at the same time. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. That's what the console felt like. It appealed to everyone and no one at the same time. Yeah. And there was some weird magic about it. It was very arty. It was actually,
yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, that's a good point. It was very arty. Fuck, what I said arty.
It was very arty. Do you not turn us dead? She died for being too arty. The
By the way, we have to do a fucking obviously we're going. We have a PS2 episode on the list. Now I know it's a GameCube episode. I'm playing Final Fantasy X at the moment, and fucking hell, what a fucking game! The nostalgia. Oh, I'm gonna leave it there, right? I'm gonna leave that fucking hanging there for people in the future when we get back to our Final Fantasy X episode.
Little blue balling.
But right, so we're down.
Shit, we're doing a top 5.
Yeah, we're doing a GameCube top 5, number 4. Number 3.
Did you say what were your number? What was number 5? Was Rocky. What was your number 4?
Smash Bros.
Yeah, number 3.
Yeah, and you had Pikmin and
Luigi's Mansion.
My number 3 is 3 games that I've played from one series is Resident Evil 1, 2 and 4. Because I haven't played 3 yet. I have Nemesis there, I just haven't gotten around to playing it.
Yeah, but you're not allowed to take all 3.
Why not? Right,
because
okay.
It's one game per franchise. We know the rule.
4. It has to be 4.
Yeah,
Like, it couldn't not be 4. It's the fucking
like the greatest game
pinnacle of Resident Evil games, in my opinion. Absolutely just incredible. Just incredible. First PS2 or first GameCube game that I played on 2 discs.
I forgot it was 2 discs on the GameCube.
2 discs, yeah.
It's 1 disc on the PlayStation.
Oh yeah, it is.
And fun fact, the PlayStation version looks a lot worse. Like, it's graphically fairly superior because this is another testament. The GameCube was more powerful
than the PS2.
Oh yeah, a good chunk, and it was a far better looking game. If you can watch up videos of comparison PS2 versus GameCube. Also, the PlayStation 2 was on 1 disc. Now the GameCube ones were tiny. I'm not sure how that worked, but
yeah.
Resident
Evil 4, number 3.
Oh shit. Okay. What am I? Number 3. This is my number 3, is it?
This is your number 3.
Number 3. Fuck! I'm going to say. Oh, there's not enough choices in 5. Oh fuck! It's between 2. I'm gonna go with. Super Mario Sunshine. Fuck, that was hard. I wanted to say Double Dash, but I was like, fuck, I guess.
Double Dash. I don't have Double Dash on my list.
I can't put it in, really. Actually, the first game we ever played together was Double Dash.
Was it, yeah?
In Gamerfest.
Did we, yeah? Oh, very true, yeah. We did too. I actually have a great picture of you and Sam playing Double Dash on the GameCube. What's it called? The big fucking stand thing. What are they called?
Yeah, the kiosks.
Kiosk, yeah, on the Nintendo GameCube kiosk.
And there was some fucking woman behind us, right? Who fucking opened a fizzy drink when we were playing it, watching us, and it spilled all over us. Like, exploded all over us.
No way.
And you know what she said to us? It's only water.
Fucking not sorry, I apologise.
Yeah. She said, don't worry, it's only water. And I'm like, all right, thanks. And we were just still playing like fucking because Sam thought a child vomited behind us. And he was like, it would have been better if a child did vomit behind us, because at least that's excusable. Like,
true, very
instead
true.
Instead of someone just fucking squirting water on you. Oh fuck!
But that kiosk was fucking
gorgeous.
That fucking kiosk was so good. I got Super Mario Sunshine off Laser Steak Ben a few months ago, a year ago, whatever, last year, and I played it a bit, and it's a good game. I haven't gotten into it enough to rank it in my top 5.
Sure.
But when it first came out, like, so your previous Mario would have been Super Mario 64, which I know is one of your favorites. What are your thoughts on it compared to previous Marios?
It's different. It's it's you know, it has the flood on it. It has different mechanics. You know, you have the use of water, which is kind of a mandatory theme. The interesting thing is that they have those levels where you're not using the flood. Do you know those little? Have you played Sunshine?
I don't even think I've gotten that far yet.
Yeah, so there's areas within levels for stars where you have to just do pure platforming sections. Like
actually, I have, and it's very difficult.
And it's very
difficult.
I love it. It. I think it's very fun. But that's where the idea Galaxy came from.
Oh,
people love
that
those
makes sense.
levels so much, and it's always in the space background thing where you're just going on floating platforms.
Yeah,
that's the whole idea of where Galaxy came from
very
Sunshine,
good.
which is cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like it a lot. I think it's underrated. But I know why people don't like it, because it does have this whole water theme. But
it's a bit inconsistent. Like for a Mario game, there's like some really really high highs and there's some not great sections in it. But yeah, I don't know. I really like it. It's an interesting. You know what it is? It's a spin-off game. I know it's a mainline Mario game, but if you were to look at it objectively, it's a spin-off game. Do you know what I mean? They take this whole new idea. In terms of a mechanic, Mario goes on holidays. He's not in the Mushroom Kingdom. He's in a completely different place. And instead of like, you know, it's about curing the island after being arrested. Like it's a real spin-off game. Like if there was a movie, it would be a spin-off movie. You know, like Mario goes on holidays. You know, it's not Mario 2, 3, 4. And you know, it's about clearing the island. Like I don't think you're even really saving Peach in it. You're just trying to save the island from. So it's a very unique. It has a very Mario Bros 2 vibe about it. You know, kind of.
Yeah. Very different.
Yeah. So, but I still think very very good.
Cool. No, that's totally fair enough. Right, my number 2. I've actually kind of cheated here with my top 2, but my number 2 is Twilight Princess, and you'll find out when I say number 1 why you think I've cheated. Number 2, Twilight Princess for me is because it was the first GameCube game I ever played. I absolutely adored it, because I think actually another reason why I missed the GameCube was because I had finished Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, and they were dark and scary, and I like that style. And then I remember thinking when Wind Waker was coming out, I was like, what the fuck, this is
everyone felt that way.
I remember being like, what are they thinking doing this? Like,
yeah, no, there was so much
insane.
anger about it. There was so much anger about it.
Fucking insane. Like, and then when Twilight Princess came out, I was like, oh shit, they're after listening to the people. This is what they want. And I remember playing it that time. My friend left the console in my house, and I fucking loved it. I love how dark it is. I love the Midna. I love the transformation. It's a really really cool game. I like, again, I know we were comparing the two earlier on, but it doesn't take away from the fact that in my opinion Twilight Princess is a fucking amazing game.
Do yourself a favor as well and watch the E3 reveal, the live reaction of Twilight Princess.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's the most fucking goosebumpy hype trailer ever, and it's not a direct feed. It's of a camera recording people watching it, and like the cheering and the craziness of it. Like, I have goosebumps thinking about it. It's one of the greatest E3 reactions, and then Miyamoto comes out with the Master Sword and the Hylian shield afterwards, and it's very very cool. Yeah, so I've actually fucked myself in the foot here a little bit, so I'm going to have to take some. I'm going to do a little caveat. What are we on, number 2?
Number 2, yeah, number 2.
Number 2. So I'm not going to put Resi 4 on this list because I played it on the PlayStation 2.
Right, that's fair enough.
I'm going to do that. Obviously, in a top 10 games of all time, I put it there, and it's a GameCube original. But since I've fucked my list up already, I'm just going to use that as an excuse, okay? Because number 2 does have to be for me Super Smash Bros. Like we've already talked about, we've already said it. But like, fucking, I played so much of that game. Such good memories with it. It's just a 10 out of 10 video game. Do you know? It really is. Like, if you want to go with like best sequels in the world, like from the N64 game, they tightened it up, it controlled better. It looks gorgeous. Yeah. Like, that was the first time we saw Mario with, like, you could see like the threads in his denim, like you knew he was wearing denim and stuff. It was texturized. Oh yeah, like his overalls and stuff. So it was the first time we actually got like a next generation look at those characters, because I think it came out before. Did it come out before Wind Waker and stuff? I like, definitely either way. Anyway, it was like the first time we saw these detailed looks at these characters, which blew my mind as well.
Yeah, no, it is a fucking really, really good game. Great multiplayer, and like you said, it's still used today in competitive like competitions and stuff, which is a testament to it and how tight a fucking game it is. So yeah, I think I'm with you there. It is a fantastic game. And number 1, which for me, potentially for you.
Oh, he's just gonna fucking steal. Is this every list we ever do? Every list we've ever done. I will say something. And you go, actually, no, that's mine.
hold on. Right. Mine.
Why don't I say number 1? Why don't you do your usual skit?
My number 1 is Mario Kart Double Dash. What's your number 1?
My number 1 is Wind Waker.
No, that's mine. Actually, no, fuck that. No, fuck Double Dash. I'm taking Wind Waker.
It's mine.
I'm taking it. It's mine. What's your number 1 then?
Well, I just said it, didn't I? Didn't I just say it?
Yeah. Oh man, Wind Waker. It's just, we've talked about it already. It's so good. It's just so good. It's so beautiful. I can't, like, the story The plot twists, holy shit. It's so fucking cool the way they do it. The fucking kid with the little snot bubble hanging out of his nose.
Discovering the different islands, the ending. I adore the ending.
Yeah, it's so good. We won't spoil it. Because I think a lot of people, like, again, I only played through it for the first time a few years ago, man, and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
When that part happened, I was like, holy shit.
Well, we are a nostalgia podcast, so I mean, I think if we're to promote the idea of going back in some old games that people haven't played, we'll avoid saying it and play Wind Waker.
Yeah,
do yourself a
100%.
favor.
100%.
I actually think if I was to recommend any Zelda game for people to start with outside Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, it would be like Wind Waker, because it's very accessible. I like the way the combat is very, like, you know, reactionary. So like press A to counter, and he does like a backflip and slices them in the back. Very fluid in that way. And just being on your boat that talks to you. And just, I like get emotional when I think about Wind Waker, because I remember being down in West Cork with my parents. I remember bringing my GameCube and my CRT. I remember plugging it in, and I remember going into, because I went to a seaside town to play a seaside game, and then we would go around, and I'd go for dinner with my parents and run back and play the game while they were having drinks with their friends. And like, like if I hear the full theme, I will tear up. It's just... It's my number one. If I was to say in top 10 games of all time in terms of nostalgia and in terms of an emotional tie to a time in my life, it's number one. In terms of a game that like hits me in the chest, it's always number one. Always
cool,
number
man.
one. It's just it's just in such a happy time in my childhood. That like
that's great, man. I love to fucking hear that. Yeah, I love to hear it. That's a nice top 5 now, I have to say. We've hit a nice top 5. You mentioned pressing A to do a backflip there. The GameCube controller, something we haven't talked about yet.
A very good segue.
Yeah, I like that. The GameCube controller is fucking fantastic.
The most comfortable controller.
It looks bizarre, but then again, a lot of Nintendo games like the N64 or Nintendo controllers like the N64 do, but it's so comfortable, man. Those air triggers at the back. The little yellow lad, the big huge button, the big huge A button in the middle, is it A? Yeah, it is.
It's the only controller to be made today.
What?
They still make the GameCube controllers for Smash.
I got the Smash Bros thing with the Smash Bros GameCube controller.
It's the only retro controller that's still produced from like day one. That's how fucking much people love it. And the GameCube was not their most popular console by any means. And like. There's I have wireless versions of it over there made by a third party company.
Oh yeah.
And like they still make it for Smash. Like I still think, I don't know if you can still, well, the next Smash comes out, I'm sure there'll be another one, but like when Smash Ultimate came out on Switch, they made them for it. And it blows my mind. It took 3 years to develop that controller. 3 years of reiterations they spent on making that controller.
Oh really? Yeah.
And it's the only controller we talked about before that's specifically first party made with different size buttons. They have the kidney shaped X and Y button. They have the really big A button, the big green one. Like Go is A, B is a little red stoplight. The C stick, the Z button. Like it's like, you know, so when you pick up that controller and you're playing a first party Nintendo game, you always know A's jump. You always know A's the context button because it's the big green one. Which is just very, very cool. Yeah, it's my number one comfortable controller.
Yeah, to be honest, like I always thought the SNES controller for me was my favorite, but the more I use the GameCube controller, I think it might be because it is so comfortable, and I do like how you're when you're playing and you're using the buttons, like how you jump from one button to the next is just, it's really fluid and it's really comfortable, and it's a really I think it's a great gaming experience using that controller 100%.
But think about this, right? Let's say you're using an Xbox or a PlayStation or a SNES controller for the first time, right? And let's say, you know, when you first start playing games or you never play video games, you have to keep looking at the controller. What's X?
Yeah.
GameCube controller is like Braille. Like you know what everyone is because they're all uniquely shaped.
Very true.
So they all have their own feel. They all have their own context sensitivity. That even for someone who's never played games before, they can look at a game controller. Oh, that's the big green button. I know when I'm feeling it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like it's very interesting from that point of view.
Yeah, I actually hadn't thought about it like that before, but that's a very good point. The big button, it makes it very accessible as well for, like you said, like non-gamers or someone who mightn't be as familiar. It's like they pick it up and they're like, well, clearly this is the button I need to press to fucking do something here. You know what I mean?
That's the context button. Go for it.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. What about the what's the wireless one called? The Wavebird. Do you have one of them?
Don't. I'm jealous.
They look very, very cool. I like the way they have the plug-in thing at the front of the console.
Speaking of a sexy GameCube console, I want to stick my little chode into the front of the 4 ports. That Wavebird's got a big, thick booty coming out the back of it.
Oh yeah, for all the batteries.
It's got a chonky chunk that, like, you know.
It's a very cool looking controller. What do you think of the Nintendo Panasonic Mirror Chrome?
I forgot about that with the DVD player in it.
Yeah, man. How fucking... Oh wait, it has a DVD player in it, does it?
That's its purpose. Yeah,
I thought it was more of a musical thing, but yeah, fuck.
Yeah, it's a DVD player within it. I think they're very cool. I mean, I think aesthetically on their own, it's very noughties looking. I think the GameCube looks timeless. It's a square. Like, maybe at the time people weren't mad about it, but I think retroactively the GameCube looks very good. I think anything that remains boxy ends up looking good, and anything that has more rounded features, like the N64 looks a bit dated. Don't get me wrong, I adore it. I love the look of it, but it looks of its time.
Yeah, I get you.
Do you know where I think you could release the GameCube today, maybe with some slight revisions about the port slots, and it's a little black box, you know, it looks sleek. What was your question?
What do you think on the Nintendo GameCube, Panasonic GameCube, the Mirror Chrome?
I think it's a really cool thing to potentially have in your collection. But yeah, it's fine. I prefer the original look of the GameCube, though.
I think the whole thing, I think I was talking about this before with the Console Wars book, where Nintendo were actually going to partner with Sony. And at the last minute when they were doing a press conference, the guy from Sony was there, and Nintendo were going to announce their partnership with Sony. And that's where that Super Nintendo PlayStation hybrid came from. And they all of a sudden were like Panasonic, and Sony were like, what the fuck? What the fuck?
And this came back as well to the colours of the Super Nintendo controller being the same colours as the PlayStation logo.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That they were intertwined with it.
And then that went obviously the partnership with Panasonic kind of never really went anywhere, and then the PlayStation was born, so which is quite interesting when you think of the Nintendo Panasonic, the GameCube Panasonic. It's a very cool console, but what happened because of it? Now, I think that's how the story goes. And then, do you ever see the little screen you can get for the Nintendo GameCube where you can play it portable?
Oh,
so
yeah, they had them for like other consoles as well. They still make them today for like the Series S and stuff.
They have them on the PS1. Oh, do they make them for the
What? Yeah, there's one for the Series S third-party ones. No, like they were never official Nintendo ones anyway. I don't think. They were always third-party accessories that was like a little LCD screen you'd plug into the back of it and it would... Which were very, very cool. But yeah, they have one for the Series S and stuff still. Any console that has like a bit of a portable design to it, they tend to make them for. I have a couple of Easter eggs that I'd like to share with you.
Yeah, please do.
So you can try this in a minute. But when you start on the GameCube, if you hold the Z button, you know the way the intro goes, boom. You hold the Z button while turning on a controller, it makes dogs barking the theme.
No way, does it? Yeah. No way! Oh, you're gonna have to give that a shot.
Now, if you plug in 4 controllers and all hold the Z button, it changes the theme again, and it's a very Japanese influenced flair. I will let you try it out at home if you have 4 controllers.
Oh, nice.
There is also there's a service disc you can get for the GameCube, and it was actually allowed you to detect N64 controllers on the GameCube, so there was plans to be backwards compatible accessories for it that were just never implemented. So with the right adapter and a service disc, it can pick up an N64 controller.
No way.
That will work with it as well, which is very, very cool. I didn't realise
that. That's very cool.
Now, I'm going to blow your fucking mind a little bit here, okay? Yes. So, do you know the GameCube logo?
Yeah.
You can picture it in your head, yeah?
I can do, yeah.
So, you know the way it's kind of like a cube in the G. And it has like, you know, it has a reflection surface too, you know, because it's a cube, so they have to denote it looks like a cube. So some parts are lighter than others. Yeah. So the lighter parts of the cube, that texture, right, is the same texture that's used on all the keys in Ocarina of Time.
What?
So the keys in Ocarina of Time are the same graphic texture, the reflection on the GameCube logo.
You're fucking joking me.
Yeah. And it's the same with the N64 logo as well.
Holy fucking shit.
So it's the same texture as what's used on the N64 graphics for reflections, but specifically the keys in Ocarina of Time.
No way, man. Anything that brings it back to Ocarina of Time.
Yeah,
I'm
just
just like,
for you.
Yes.
Yeah, so I was looking up some Did You Know gaming videos, just get some nice little facts for you today.
Class,
also,
man.
when you know, if you boot up the Nintendo GameCube and you don't have a game in it, it goes to the menu. So like, you know, in that generation, they didn't have a menu unless there was not a game in it. So if you don't have a game in the GameCube,
little floaty cube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The music in the background of that is this very ambient, just slow thing.
Mm-hmm.
But if you speed that music up 19 times,
Mm-hmm.
it's the Famicom startup jingle.
No fucking way, man. What? No way. That's fucking deadly.
Yeah, so it's like a super slow down
No
ambient
fucking way.
version of it. Like, who finds this shit out? You know what I mean?
Oh man, man. This is the shit that gets me going, man. This is the shit I fucking love. Oh god, that's so fucking cool. Jesus, do you have any more?
Just kind of about the fact that the dolphin theme on it, and has the chips, and then a flipper thing, and that Sunshine and Wind Waker kind of water themed in it as well. There was some GameCube demos as well, and there was one with Meowth playing an electric guitar with lots of Pokemon.
Keith, I'm only after seeing this. I'm after seeing something about this on Twitter.
Really?
Somebody was actually talking about. I didn't realize there was any relation to the GameCube, but I saw someone, because I follow a lot of pages who post like literally like interesting, like those facts that you just told me there. I love like old advertising stuff, really like niche stuff that you wouldn't think of.
Niche.
And that Meowth song was something I just saw online. So what's exactly the crack there?
It was a demo that people thought was going to be a game, but it wasn't. It was actually used as like some sort of Pokemon 3D animated thing in the end, but it was to show off the GameCube's like power and prowess. Like there's another one where there was 120 Marios on screen running around a sphere, which also influenced Galaxy, because they were running around in a circle later on. And it was to show, all the polygons it could do. It could show how much stuff was on screen at the same time. And it was actually an unlockable. It was referenced later in Super Smash Brothers because it was an unlockable trophy of Meowth playing an electric guitar in Super Smash Bros. As one of the little trophies too, which is very, very cool. Because if anything, Smash Brothers is a piece of history art of Nintendo, right? They try and include as much different stuff, real or not real, as they can in it, which is cool.
Yeah.
There was also the trailer for the GameCube just before, like a few years before it actually came out, of Ocarina of Time in GameCube graphics of Link fighting Ganon.
Yes, you said that to me before.
That was also what contributed to the big disappointment to the Wind Waker graphics, because people thought they were getting this game, and then they got that game. Do you know what I mean?
It's mad how they went from Wind Waker and then brought out Twilight Princess, which I feel like that demo is more Twilight Princessy looking. Like, I wonder, like, so was there, like, I know everyone appreciates the Wind Waker now, and it's a fucking great game, and it did get great reviews when it came out, but was there also that backlash from...
It's huge.
Yeah, huge.
It sold poorly because of it. Do you know what I mean?
You reckon that was it, yeah?
Well, 100%. Like, when I say, the GameCube sold poorly, so I mean that's always going to influence as well. And you can't compare Twilight Princess, because Twilight Princess is more of a Wii game than it is a GameCube game.
Yeah.
Because like it launched on the GameCube and the Wii at the same time, and which is interesting because Link is supposed to be fucking left. This annoys me so much. Link is supposed to be left-handed, and because obviously with the Wii they were like, most people are right-handed. They just the whole game is mirrored. You're like, if you're playing the game on the Wii, you're playing left is right and right is left. Do you know what I mean? It's like playing it in mirror mode.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, because wasn't there a big thing about the teaser for Skyward Sword and something to do with what hand he was holding a sword in or something like that? I remember there being a whole hullabaloo about the artwork for Skyward Sword.
He was right-handed after the Wii. Like, that changed his canon.
Yeah, fucking hell.
Which is like... Because I'm left-handed. I like him being left-handed.
Are you lefty? Yeah. I was actually watching The Simpsons yesterday for the first time in years, and it was season 8, episode 8, I think, and it was where Ned's house, like Ned has a string of bad luck, and they talk about his shop in the Springfield Mall, and he has the Leftorium. Do you remember that in The Simpsons? No. He has a shop for all left-handed people called the Leftorium, and there's people looting it. Like that's mad. That I literally I was sitting there yesterday, and I put out The Simpsons came on, and I just flicked it on to see what my daughter's reaction would be. I was like watching it. We were watching for a little bit, and then I was like, "Fuck the Leftorium!" I totally forgot about it because I haven't watched The Simpsons in years.
The OG Simpsons is so fucking funny.
Yeah.
So fucking funny, dude. I love it so much.
It was great. So come here, you gave me a Nintendo magazine, right? You gave me a few bits and bobs in that beautiful nostalgia box. Oh, thank you again.
No bothers.
I'm reading through Nintendo official magazine.
Oh, you better get your Dragon Ball DVDs today, by the way, or I'll have to go searching for them.
Yeah, we'll see. They might even be down. oh Jesus, because we're recording this on Monday morning. This might be downstairs. You never know.
Yeah, and the version you got for season 2 was like that plastic box version.
Yeah, it was
rather
shit,
than rather than the sleeve and the pull out.
nice
So you'll have
version,
the little leaflets and stuff in it as well.
Deadly. I'm reading through the magazine, Nintendo official magazine, June 2003. On the cover is F-Zero GC. I'll actually take a picture of this and put it up on our socials because it's such a nice magazine. But reading through the magazine has been so fucking nostalgic. There's so much in it. There's actually GameCube games I never even realised were a thing. There's like a WWE Crush Hour, it's called. So it's a wrestling game, but they're all driving and they're like Destruction Derby or racing or something. And I was like, when I first saw it, I was actually like, was this like one of those games that was previewed but never got released? But it did get released. I was like, fucking hell, this is after blowing my mind. But the whole experience of reading the magazines is something that I'm really, really enjoying, and it's just so cool, and it was perfect for this episode to get into the mind frame of around the GameCube being out, because it's all GameCube games. There's like they have a tip section of how to get through the first part of Wind Waker, which I think is really cool. And there's so much. There's like people writing in with letters and stuff like that, because I think it'll be great when we had mentioned before how Harry Kay is going to come on and do a magazines episode with us, which I think would be very cool, very nostalgic. But one thing I was reading in this magazine, and I'm gonna propose to you, Keith, right? And I'm not talking getting married, but we can do it.
Well, that's disappointing.
Well, that's just not yet. That's just not yet, man. I want that to be a surprise. So I'm looking in the pages here, right? And there's a review section, and they talk about how they review things, and I think me and you should do some video game reviews on the podcast, even if it's like a little, I don't know, it could be like a side episode, you know what I mean? Something like that.
Or maybe maybe a little retro ramblings as well. You could do like mini reviews on retro ramblings.
Yes, great idea.
Patreon / Preston to continue. Rate 5 stars. We're 4 away, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Rate 5 stars.
We're four reviews, 5-star reviews away from 100 on Spotify. So if you're listening to this and you use the app, please go onto the Spotify app and give us that 5.
And if you'd like your little extra content as well for going the extra mile, you can go onto our is it Patreon or Patreon?
Patreon,
okay,
and become a patron.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, patreon.com / press any button to continue. The reviews, right? It tells us they rank them out of 10. It tells you our official reviews, how our official reviews work. Keith, we have to do it. I'm going to send you a picture of this. We're going to do some video game reviews. And
we'll use that. We'll use that 2003 Nintendo magazine as our guide. Okay.
Yes. No, I think that's a good idea.
Very quickly, I just wanted to mention some side games that didn't make my top 5 list that I think are important just to scroll through a little bit. You know what I mean? Because I was thinking of like Mario Party 4. I think is my favorite Mario Party, and it's on the GameCube. And I think because I remember playing that, it's just quality. F-Zero. Which gets no love in this day and age. There's no more F-Zero games. I don't know why. It's one of the great... Have you played F-Zero on the SNES or the Game Boy Advance?
It's literally on the fucking cover of this magazine.
It's so good, like.
Yeah, it is. It's very, very cool.
Beautiful fucking Joe.
What's the crack with that now? Hold on a second. Is he beautiful? Is he beautiful? What's the crack with Joe?
He's beautiful.
What is
it's
beautiful?
Cool. He's like, that is beautiful. Do you know what I mean? He's like... it's a whole stylish thing. And there you pick up V's in the game which give you more style points, and then you can transform. You go from a normal Joe into a beautiful Joe, which is like his Power Ranger counterpart, and he can slow down time and speed it up and fight people, and it's very, very, very fucking hard.
Deadly.
Simpsons Hit and Run, it's a multi-platform game, but it's fucking fantastic. A classic GTA. Spider-Man 2 I had on the GameCube as well. Such a good Spider-Man game, man.
Yeah. Actually, I have Spider-Man, the first one on the GameCube.
Not as hot. Right. The second one, very good. Again, hasn't aged fantastically. Yeah. But at the time, that was the first game where webs actually stuck to the building and had physics, and it was
cool.
Worked in that way, which paved the way for the Spider-Man that's on the PlayStation consoles today. There were just a little few on in there. Obviously, Twilight Princess as well has to be mentioned with it. And the Game Boy player is just so cool. There was Zelda 4 Swords as well. There was a game called... Or Racing that had a little Pac-Man multiplayer disc where people could plug it. You could plug your Game Boy Advance into the GameCube. I don't know if you know this. There was a cable that went from your Game Boy Advance into your GameCube, and you can use it as a controller for multiplayer games.
No way.
And there was certain games, right? And it's the best multiplayer game I've ever played. Maybe not if I was playing it again. Where you're Pac-Man on the TV, and everyone else has a Game Boy where they're playing as the ghost trying to eat Pac-Man.
No fucking way.
Yeah, so you look at the Game Boy Advance, it's like the Wii U kind of, so you can't cheat. And they're all chasing you while you're Pac-Man on the screen running around.
That is fucking deadly, man.
Fucking sick. It came with a game called Or Racing.
Yeah.
And it should have been its own standalone game. I don't know how the fuck it was, and it was so much fun.
Right.
So much fun.
Nice. Well, in the Nintendo magazine, right? They're rating stuff out of 10. So to rate the GameCube out of 10, right? I'm gonna put it to you now. I'll let you do you can do like point something if you don't want to do a solid.
Okay.
If you don't want to do a solid,
I have it. I'm just gonna go what's in my head.
Right.
And it's an 8.5.
Keith, that's low. I would have thought you would have went higher.
See, I'm very a critique rater. Like, if you asked me, like, I'd like, because you see, when you start going in, like, people throw out 9s and 10s, like,
willy-nilly.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like, 10 is, obviously it's in the eyes of the viewer, and I always say this before, a 10 doesn't mean a game is perfect. A 10 means you couldn't enjoy the game anymore, in my opinion, right? So it has its problems, but they haven't deterred you from getting maximum enjoyment out of it. The GameCube has so many fucking good first-party games, but it has a small library. You know, it doesn't have an expansive one. And just 8.5 is in my head. I think 8.5 is like is an A plus already. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think about scoring exams. Like, if you get 85% in an exam, you're like, holy fuck, that's
true.
A 1-1.
Very
do you
true.
know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like, what would come past that as a console, but, like, you know, I'd give probably the PS2, like, you know, a slightly lower one, if that makes any sense.
Right.
So, you know, it's
okay. No, that's fair enough.
What do you give it?
I think I'll go for. I think I'm gonna go for an 8 because I don't know enough of it to rate it any higher than that. You know, like I know the GameCube. I know the GameCube well enough, but I feel like till I've played at like a minimum of around like 30 games, 40 games maybe to really get my teeth into it.
Always remember as well, you can play your GameCube games on the Wii. So, you know, if you have a Wii, the Wii's backwards compatible, and you can put your memory cards into the Wii, and you can put your GameCube controllers into a Wii. In fact, even though outside the Game Boy player, which is a big win, if you really wanted to just have two consoles in one, just get the Wii, really. Don't get me wrong, as a collector, the GameCube's gorgeous, but if you have... Now, the later generation Wii's aren't backwards compatible, but most of the white ones are, like the original kind of glassy ones. So yeah, you should definitely have an old because most people have a Wii in their house in the attic, because the Wii's, every family got a Wii because you had like the fucking balance training board and, you know, all the stuff that the adults liked, and training your brain and all this shit. So if you have a Wii in your attic, it's more than likely we'll play GameCube games too, so you can get into it that way.
There you go. Right, I think we've kind of covered everything: the games, the look, the controller, the release date, the library, all the goodness, all the hotness, as you might say. This is kind of... I was gonna try and do a Steamy Streamers impression, but I haven't had enough coffee.
What one were you gonna do?
I was just gonna say, like, I was just gonna be like, all the goodness, all that. It's
gonna be like, loving it, wanting to need it, baby. This GameCube is so spicy, I want to fuck it like a dolphin, baby. Slam it on in. Cream the dream, Sally Hansen, Belly Hash, Shellac, Coon the Booms, Diddly Fiddly. It's also very early on a Monday morning. True. You know, I'm still...
my brain enough for a Monday.
We are. Well, my brain is still recouping from a weekend of debauchery, so I'm slapping it on in as well.
Keith, tell me this. We're finished up. Where, if the good people who are listening to this podcast want to find you outside, where do they go?
You can find me. I'm doing some Vice City morning streams on Kick at the moment, and we're having an absolute blast over there. We just hit over 100 followers, which is fucking amazing. And we've hit number 1 in the retro category a couple of times, which is exciting.
Deadly, man.
Not to toot my own cock or anything.
Toot, motherfucker.
Yeah. So we're having a blast over there in the mornings. Then in the evening times, we're doing Twitch streams where I'm doing PS1 classics at the moment. Whatever comes into my mind. A bit of Spider-Man, a bit of Tomb Raider, a bit of Gex, a bit of whatever.
Rugrats.
A bit Rugrats, which could you send it on to me? Because Miss Hammy, as the new name would suggest, needs me to play that. So
yeah, I'll have a look.
And you know, socials and stuff like that. Nisha, where can we find you?
Mainly on Instagram at retro_gamer_Ireland. That's it, nice and simple. And you can check out the podcast on Twitter. All the links. We have a nice lovely little link tree.
And you
We
have
do.
to visit me before the end of the year to do some retro streams, I think. Do you know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah,
You're
we've got some videos, man. We need to release those videos.
We need to. We're gonna put. I think we have some. Right, we recorded videos very quickly, and at the time we were just seeing how the recording process went. We didn't get the sound quite right, and we were kind of like, you know, I think we had a couple of let's plays for Sonic and something else.
Super Mario 3.
And we had a couple of reactions for Game Masters. These are very rough demos, right? So we weren't ultimately, I think, ready to really show them everywhere. But I think we were thinking we might shove them up onto the Patreon as some lovely, embarrassing little goodies.
Why don't we do it instead of a Retro Ramblin' 3? Why don't we do videos?
Would you like a video? Oh, that's good. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Just get it out there, man. See, get a taste for it. Get a feel for what people think.
We'll do a little
I was
trial run.
violently ill as well while we're recording. If I do look a bit off,
You always look a bit off, man. We
Oh,
never
yeah,
know what's
true.
going on in that brain.
true. Cool. We'll do that. Right, man. That was a fun episode, man. That was a fun episode. So if you enjoyed the podcast, please go on to Spotify. Use the app. We're 4 5-star reviews away from 100 5-star reviews. And check out the socials. It's all in the link tree. Check out the Patreon. And have a beautiful day. We love you. And